We are live, Mr. Guest. My stream is just uploading to make sure people can hear us. We are live, Mr. Guest. And they can. Welcome, everyone. People are coming in as they come in. We'll just talk nonsense for a minute. The first bit of nonsense I wanted to share was excuse the state of my home office. My wife's having a clear out. And does anyone else wives do this? Let us know in the comments. She chucks all the crap in your home office while she's waiting for people to collect it from Facebook Marketplace and that kind of stuff. So that's why I've got a lovely mirror and a tricycle thing, whatever they're called. And as you come in, guys, can you leave a comment in just so I can make sure that you can hear us loud and clear? I'll add one. And it's going to be a live Q&A. We really wanted to do a deep dive. We've been getting a lot of questions, messages from people on socials about the bootcamp that's creeping up very quickly. So we thought, let's just do a nice big webinar and we'll answer any question that anyone's ever got. So put all your questions as we go through in the comments. Reg, over to you.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And I think this is a great opportunity just to get to the balcony and elevate ourselves. And as a context framing piece for me, what's really important with bootcamp is the time of year that it is. So it's going to be on the 20th and the 21st of November. And this time of year, we all get reflective. And I know certainly with all the clients that I work with directly, we have literally just kicked off our Q4 planning cycle, which is about two things. One, how you end the year on a high and make sure that you set and get momentum towards the end of the year. And two, how you make sure that you come out the blocks fast in 2025. I find so many businesses are on the back foot going into a new year because they haven't really done their business planning. They were so busy focused on ending the last year that what they haven't done is carried the momentum going into 2025. So particularly in a estate agency, all the work you do now in terms of listings, the valuations, we're not allowed to say valuations, the appraisals that you do. I know I changed it. No valuations, appraisals. All the appraisals you do in listings that you get and sales are all going to ensure that you come out the blocks fast in 2025. So we're already starting to play the game, depending on your maturity of your pipeline, particularly the lead indicators at the front are about setting the pace and the cadence for 2025. So I think, Perry, the first thing is the timing of bootcamp is phenomenal because where else can you get the opportunity to get to the balcony of your life? And I saw a scary statistic yesterday that somebody said, today, in 11 weeks' time, will be Christmas Day. That's a scary thought.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
This is a great opportunity to get to the balcony of your business. And the one thing that we always promise with bootcamp is that you will walk away with your blueprint and your strategy created for 2025. And where else could you do that in 2 days? And I always think that bootcamp is the opportunity to do your 12 months of learning packed into 2 days, where you can really feel energized, you feel enabled with mindset, skill set, and tool sets. You walk away with your blueprint created for next year, and you get the opportunity to network with a group of like-minded individuals which charge you, which energize you, that allow you to end the year on the high and then come out the blocks fast in 2025. So hopefully that's a good bit of framing for the start of the conversation.
Let me frame really quickly, and I'll try and be really quick, but there's a lot of new names on these webinars, and I wanted to frame quickly where bootcamp come from and why we do it, and why it's so limited, because Royston and I haven't got an events team behind us, and I'll come on to that in a minute as to why. But in 2016, for those who don't know of us at all, in 2016, I was flying to Cape Verde to propose to my wife, this is now my wife, and Power Bespoke at the time, 2016, this was on its absolute knees. We had run out of cash. This was actually in October time it was, and because it's her birthday, and I took her away for her birthday to propose to her. But we probably weren't going to see out 2016, and we're probably going to go bust. And like you do, you grab a book from the airport. So I was like, let's grab a book, and it was a book called Built to Grow, written by that good-looking geezer right there. And I read it on holiday. I've ignored Tash for most of it, unfortunately, because it's a real Built to Grow itself is a framework on growing and scaling a business, right? And if you've ever read the E-Myth, there it is. if you're into business growth books, The E-Myth is my second best book of all time, replaced by Built to Grow once I'd read it, because give me a framework of what to do, how to do it, and I'll implement. So got back off holiday, implemented some stuff that I'd learned from the book. Things were starting to look a bit better. But then I stalked Royston for many months and his PA at the time to say, look, I need coaching. I've done this. I've done what you've said that I should do. I was given a 30-minute slot while he was flying back from Jersey to Gatwick. I live next to Gatwick Airport. Went with my list of questions. He gave me quick, punchy answers. I went off, done it all, come back, said I want more. And that's where I think you were like, this guy's going to go for it. I'll coach him. And then fast forward however many years, 2024 now, business is still going. You'll be pleased to know, very well. And we got a lot of approaches, or you certainly more than me, for coaching as well. And you don't really do so much anymore because you're over in Jersey a lot. So we said, why don't we put together a 2-day kind of in-room intense? It's not a conference. It's not a workshop. It's roll your sleeves up, 2 full intense days. And we'll cram as much as we can into that to give people their yearly growth blueprint. And that's exactly what it is. And it's limited in numbers because it's not like we stand at the front and preach and show you loads of, there's no conference stands there, people selling stuff to you. It's literally limited numbers. 50 is our capacity. We're at 38, I think, already booked on. And it's just such an incredible 2 days that I love going to every year anyway. I'm just fortunate that I'm also able to share some stuff to the room of how we've done stuff from Built to Grow in Power Bespoke. So that's, if you didn't know us, that's where it's all come from.
Yeah, and then Perry, my passion for authenticity. I think there's too many events these days that just end up being a sales pitch. And what I do love about what we've created with Built and Grow, and the great thing is today, what we've got Chris Ellis and Michael Chandler, who are two of the clients who've been on boot camps. They've given up some of their time today to come along and share their experience of it, which is great because it's all right, Perry and I talking about it. And hopefully you will get a feel very quickly for Perry and my style. I spent my life starting on a construction apprenticeship program at 16 years of age. I built my own businesses since I was 24, building businesses, selling businesses. Now in our growth consultancy business, we run a ticker. And to date, we have put £3.42 billion worth of additional revenue and profit on our clients' businesses. Every single one of those, the numbers I can break down and show you which clients and who we've done what for, 3.42 billion. So the great thing is, I think the power of bootcamp is, and people call us Ant and Deck. I'm not sure which is Ant and which is Deck, but the great thing is, I work with literally thousands of businesses over 2 decades. There probably isn't a sector or an industry that I haven't worked in across 27 countries. And what's really powerful is I love with a passion the estate agency market. And what Perry has done in Power Bespoke, you take all that broad growth business experience that we've got and Built to Grow and Rise and the platform and all the tools that we've got with Perry's bespoke model, almost a franchise prototype of what he's done with Power Bespoke. And that is the magic formula that I think gives the estate agency market something that is really unique because it's practical, pragmatic, real world ideas. And my thought on this, Perry, if you don't get 10x return on bootcamp, and if you don't think by lunchtime on the first day that you're going to be on a pathway to get 10x return, then you can leave at lunchtime on the first day and get your money back. That is how passionate I am about adding value, making a difference, throwing the boomerang. And that's why it's not a sales pitch. We don't talk about other programs and everything on the 2 days. When we're in that room, the whole focus of the 2 days is just about adding a shitload of value for you, giving you the blueprint, the playbook, whatever language you prefer, personalizing the ideas with you, sharing ideas across everybody. And I think what's really testament is that of the audience, 50%, a minimum of 50% will be returnees who've been on boot camps before. Michael and Chris will both be there that we're going to talk to in a moment. They will both be there. And that's the beautiful thing about it. People still come back because they want to get the next injection, the next layer. They still pick up the golden nuggets and the ideas. And we keep bootcamp fresh. There's always 50% of it will be new content. And there are some real golden nuggets that we'll be sharing with you. So that's enough for me.
There was 2 things that I remember post bootcamp that really blew my mind. One was someone asked me for copies of templates, and I was like, "Yeah, cool, no worries, I'll send them over to you." And they were like, "How much is that additionally?" And I was like, "No, there's no additional cost. Like, there's no secret upsells to here's the templates we use for our direct mail campaign, for example, which is our 6th out of 21 appraisal sources. It's our 6th highest advice meeting generator. And they're like, what? I ain't got to pay extra for... I'm like, no, it comes to boot camp. It's hook, line and sinker. And the other thing, which I really was blown away by, was someone said, thank you so much for those 2 days. I've just cancelled my business coach that I was paying a fortune to each month. And I'm just going to come to bootcamp every year and make sure that that's my planning cycle implementation. Because we're hot, you know, I'm sure Chris had mentioned in a minute, but it's a lot. We literally try and cram in more than you probably can actually achieve in 12 months. But every business has different problems or challenges to overcome. And you'll pick 3 things, ideally 4, and you'll just do 1 a quarter for the next 12 months and you'll be on the right path. So those 2 things were really quite crazy for me.
And you know where I think people get as much value, Perry? It's you and I sharing the ideas, and I share the ideas, you personalize them, you go, this is exactly step by step how I've implemented them. And I think that's the difference of bootcamp. We don't just give you the theory. Perry will go, this is how you implement it step by step in your business. But I tell you where I think the real value is. It's not just in the sessions, it's in the evenings. And we just go to the bar in the evening. We do it at the Hilton Hotel at Heathrow. And we've been to that same venue. We've always run our boot camps there. And we love it because in the evenings, we just go to the bar. Everybody orders bar food. We have a few drinks. And I think the evenings are just as rich in terms of the ongoing conversation that people have. Perry and I are there for the whole of the evening. It's not like we go to the days and then we disappear. You have literally got us 24/7 for 2 days. And I think that's what's really powerful. The evening sessions are just as good as the day sessions.
Agreed. I know you wanted to share, because the point of this was to have a real deep dive, because people were asking me, you know, what's covered, blah, blah, blah. So we're having a real deep dive on the 2 days, and we'll try not to take up too much of people's time. We're also going to bring Chris and Michael in a minute, because they're both awesome and doing incredible things off the back of bootcamp. But you also wanted to share kind of 7 big problems that you're seeing in the market, right, at the minute, which is addressed at bootcamp.
Yeah, I do. Before I do that, I just want to share 2 stories that I think are really important. The first is, literally 7 weeks ago, I met Perry Power Mark version 2. And we started at the beginning of September one of our 10-week accelerator programs where literally we run a module every single week. It's a half-a-day session. And we've got 15 businesses on it, 30 people, because each business brings 2 people. And we're running that from the beginning of September that runs through till Christmas. And there was a guy booked on it who's got a business that's doing about $750,000. It's an outdoor specialist outdoor business, does kitchens, hot tubs, outdoor saunas, everything. Phenomenal business. But the guy phoned me up. He said, Royston, before we start the Leading Growth program, can I meet you for a coffee? I need to talk to you. And literally was like, no problem. Let's meet for half an hour. And honestly, Perry, it was like Mark II, the version of you. Because he said, Royston, I've got a problem. He said, I've signed up for the Leading Growth program. I'm really excited about it, but I'm not sure my business is going to survive long enough to be able to get to the other end of Leading Growth. He said, I really need your help. And you know, when you meet somebody, you just think, shit, this is why I do what I do every single day. And he's got a great business. He's fallen out of love with his business. And he was so in the weeds, he couldn't see the lights. He couldn't see any context or pathway through. So Jane and I went and spent half a day with him. And I said, look, before we get to Leading Growth, let's come and spend half a day in your business. And literally went and spent half a day in his business. We gave him a 10-point action plan and said, look, before you get to Leading Growth, do these 10 things. And literally he was on his knees. It was touch and go. And one of the things we did, which is one of the first things that you and I did, Perry, which was I said, right, you've got to go through your cost base line by line, and you've got to strip out all the stuff. So he had a field that he was using for storing stuff that was costing him 14 grand a year. He didn't use the whole field, so he's let out half of it and saved 7 grand. He had a lockup that he was using. He got rid of that. And literally, he took 25 grand out of his cost base in 10 days. So brilliant. That's already paid and got him back. And then we looked at where his opportunities were in his pipeline, and we really targeted and went, right, these are your golden nugget opportunities. We need you to win one of these 6. And literally, I saw him on Wednesday. We're on module 3 now of Leading Growth. And the guy is just transformed. He's got a zest in his step. He's got his mojo back. And he said to me on Wednesday, he said, Royston, you're not going to believe this. And he said, this is synchronicity, working with you, leading growth, everything else. He said, we've won a project for 200 grand, one for 50 grand, a 25 grand project, and all three need to be delivered by Christmas. Suddenly I need to get more guys. And it's just completely, and that for me is an example of the power of boot camp. And it's not the amount of time that you're there, because we know what we do so well. We can literally understand where you are with your business, really help you get a grip of the things that you need to be focused on, and give you a step-by-step action plan that you can walk away that will allow you to make sure your business is on a solid platform, that you build resilience, and you give yourself the opportunity to build a business that's, will go on a growth trajectory then in 2025. So I think that's a really important story to share, because it's, that's the real shit. It's hard running a business. And let's not shy away from that. And the marketplace is tough at the moment. So this to me is the reason why you have to make time to get out your business, get to the balcony, get some perspective, get some context with people who've been there, done it, and who can help you shape your thinking and then give you re-energize, recharge, help you maybe fall back in love with your business if there's a little bit of falling out of love with your business, and give you the focus that allows you then to end 2024 on a high and come out the blocks fast in 2025. So I think we should bring Michael and Chris in.
Love that. Let me welcome to the party, Chris.
Hello.
Welcome to the party, Michael.
Hello.
Any questions that anyone's got as well as you run through this? Because one thing that is one of those things that Royston has mentioned is we go really deep on the onward negotiation service at Bootcamp, which is, for me, something that every estate agent should be offering without fail. And it's a quick and easy way to get your fees up by at least 50% higher, increase your conversion by 20% more. So that's very important. But I guess we've got people from different countries. Is Ireland classed as a different country? We've got England and Ireland.
Debatable.
We're worldwide.
Yeah.
Thanks for jumping on, guys. Go, Royston.
Guys, what will be really useful, because as I said at the start, it's great Perry and I talking about it, but you guys made a leap of faith. You came on boot camp, you invested the time, you invested the money. So rather than Perry and I just talking about how great it is, what's great is if you could, is share your experience. We're saying it's great. We're saying you go away with your blueprint. We're saying it will help you. Is it the real deal? What's your view and your take on bootcamp? And I don't mind who goes first. I just want this to be raw. I just want you to share, as it comes out, your experiences about what bootcamp is about and the benefits of what you get from it.
And Michael, go first, because they're going to both go first at the same time.
Well, I was listening to your pre-story there, Perry. I hope you all can understand my accent. I was listening to your pre-story there, Perry, and I was in a very bad place this time a year ago, and I was watching. I took myself off to try and fix it myself and write a book and how I was going to do it. And I happened to go onto social media. I happened to, at the right time, watch your video about this bootcamp, and basically it ticked every box that I wanted to sort out myself. So it just was like somebody shone a light on my business at that moment. I made contact. I made the effort to come to London and brought a couple of my guys with me. And we're here nearly a year later, and my business has been turned completely around. I can't describe the difference in systems, format, setup, structure, and on top of that, to have the guidance and the power of you guys behind me. What I would say about the two of you is the difference. You've got one Perry side, very analytical, very IT focused, very clever, and very systemized and driven. Then you've got Royston, who just seems to have an answer for everything on the spot. Absolute genius whenever it comes to looking from the balcony down and seeing the way things should be done. So I think the partnership works extremely, extremely well. I've loved every second of this year. I've loved every Zoom we've done. I've loved coming over and seeing the guys, and I've loved watching my business. Now, I'm not going to say it's all just rosy and easy. There's been some serious hurdles, and trying to get the staff to do or to understand and do what I want them to do from being with these guys. But I think the key to that is get as many of your staff to come with you, because the guys that were with me in the first instance are flying, and I'm coming back next month, and I'm bringing 2 or 3 with me, because the more I can get through the system, the less I have to talk. And I would say that comes from your whole setup, what you do as the owner or the boss, how you behave, how your staff behave, about the reporting of numbers, and all in all, I just find it invigorating, and I think Perry touched on it earlier on, makes you fall in love with the actual business again, which is very easy to fall out of love with the amount of stuff that we get confused with. So hopefully that helps in some shape or form.
Well, I think just quick on that, sorry before you go, Royston, but what's mad is I love the fact, but I also hate the fact that people recognize and come to boot camp at such a late stage. I was the same. I was walking in the dark thinking I knew business. I was just a good estate agent, and bearing in mind I'd not long started up, but I just wish people would, who, if they see that they might be going down a certain path, to come sooner, because we can have more impact quicker if we can just help roll our sleeves up. And what's quite unique about Royston and I is that I'm just an estate agent trying to run and grow my own agency at the same time, but I've got this massive drive to improve the industry. If anyone knows my background story, then you'll know why. But it's so to spend 2 days working with great-minded estate agents is just like 2 days of holiday for me. It's not a holiday.
Perry, it's the time and effort that you've put into those systems all through COVID and stuff like that, and the depth that you've gone into it, which takes a very special type of person, like analytical sort of person. And the generosity you have of giving that away and just literally handing forms over or contracts over or systems over that you've spent time and probably a lot of money on as well, for me is absolutely, I think it's nuts, to be honest with you. You should have been charged this, but I find it absolutely invaluable. So yeah, it's a big part of it. Yeah,
well, I should probably get more commercially minded on that, but because it's because I'm not a events company, it's literally I'm an estate agent. We're all in it together. It's one industry and trying to drive it forward. Yeah. I just love going deep on stuff because I am analytical. I'm probably not the best people person, but I'm really grateful that I've brought in people around me now in the team that are great at that. And that's really not. And I've never actually heard people talk like that about bootcamp directly. So, and we didn't jump on this call early to kind of get our facts straight. That's really lovely to hear. So thank you.
Yeah. And Royston, the speed that you can react to things as well, and the way your brain works is invaluable as well to a business. I don't care what size they are, how big they are, how small they are. I think the speed and the way you can come up with a solution, but you do it by asking the right questions to make people think themselves. That's what you don't just tell them how to do it. You make them think about it themselves, and that's how you learn best. That's what I find invaluable.
No, you're spot on, Michael. And the questions are one of the number one tools that you've got in your tool bag as a leader. And it's no good just giving the answers. It's about building the thinking capability. And I always use the example that when your children are doing the maths exam at school, the marking, when the teacher's marking afterwards, is split 2 ways. A third is for the answer and 2/3 is for the working out. And, that's a skill in itself that, between Perry and I, it's not just about giving you guys the answers. It's the why we do this. It's about the psychology that underpins it and helps you to find the answers yourself that then takes you on a journey. Because if you're a master of your own destiny, if you're a creator of your own destiny, then you're going to be more committed to execute and deliver against that. I just want to make a point as well about, you made the point about
that. Sorry, I laugh on that because I'm an answers guy. I'm like, I've done it. Let me show you how I've done it. And you can go and do it too. And what was interesting in 2016, when I was on my arse and the business was about to go bust, I was on my 3rd business coach. And I got to a stage where they were having to come back to me for the answers. They was like, leave that with me. And I'm like, something's going wrong here. I think this is this you should have them. When I met Royston, I had my list of 40 things. It was like bang, 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 go. Yeah. And that's exactly how I need to be. We all need clarity. And us business owners, I think we sometimes feel like one of our great things is we ain't got a boss. But I really like having somebody to still point me in the right direction. Mentorship.
Everybody needs that. Everybody needs to be held accountable, I think. I don't care how good you are or bad you are. Everybody needs to be held accountable.
And there is a great point. There's 2 comments I'd like to make. One is the point about the transition and the points that you might interface. And I don't want it to be that people are on the back foot or always up against it with their business. If that's the case and that's where you are, great, and we can help you. But I also want to pick up the businesses who think, I've got a great business. I'm good at what I do. Because the one thing I love in those scenarios is, as long as you've got a growth mindset, we will take you from good to great. We will help you to see blind spots that you didn't even know exist. We will help you positively reinforce the things that are working really well in your business so you can keep replicating those. But we will help you find the areas where you go, do you know what? I'm a little bit inconsistent with that and I could do that better. And there will absolutely 100% be some things that you are not doing, even if you're running a high performance business. I will guarantee there will be things that we will come at from a different perspective, a different angle, from a growth perspective or from a individual leadership perspective, that will just take you to a different level. And you will feel comfortably uncomfortable on bootcamp. We make no apologies for that, because at the edge of your comfort zone is where your growth is experienced. And if you're not growing every single day, you're going backwards. There's no standing still. You've got to be growing either yourself or your business every single day in order to remain relevant, in order to keep the positive forward momentum, in order to lead your teams better than ever. So, Michael, I really appreciate your comments. And, why it's great having you guys on is because you're so authentic with it. And you share exactly how it is, which is, what we want to do on this session. It's really important. Really important. Chris.
Right. Okay. I've picked up a couple of points. I've got 4 points that I'd like to talk. Obviously, I completely agree with what obviously Michael has said, and I can massively relate obviously to Perry, because I've had a few coaches in the past and gone on various things, but they haven't quite ticked for me. So I took over the business in 2016. I sort of winged it up until about 2022 with the help of others, but it didn't seem to be going anywhere. And that was when I obviously reached out to you, Perry, wasn't it? Where it was, and I think I resonated massively with you. It wasn't on its knees, but I was too invested in the business. And the problem being is it was me. I could do that aspect of it. I could push it forward because I was the face of it, but I was struggling to grow the business. And I think that's one of the things I put down is growing the business. Everyone talks about growing a business, but then how? I think that's the key thing for me. Again, the framework certainly helped with me. Also as well, you mentioned just there, Royston, about being uncomfortable. And I remember on boot camps, this is my third now, isn't it? It's 2022 that I went on it. And I was pretty uncomfortable in that room at the very beginning, because I was thinking, geez, how the hell am I going to implement all of this? And it was quite interesting. But after that, it was just picking things from that. And then second boot camp come around. And again, what I heard back then, it was like, okay, great, I can move on to that now. So that certainly helped with me. No, I wrote down lonely at the top. Again, I think this is a phrase that I hear quite a lot as well, is it's lonely at the top, but it's only lonely at the top if you choose to. And again, I feel that's where I've seen the value, is I can reach out to either one of you at any point. And you've obviously helped me grow. But well, I'm a massive advocate for it. I'm really looking forward to like this boot camp that's coming up. I'm bringing 3 people along with me now, because I think one of the key things that I learned, and it'd be something to consider if you are considering going on to it. But for me personally, I went on my own the first time, brought somebody with me the second time. That person's not here, but we've recently done a separate session where I've sent 3 or 4 of my team over to you guys, and they've come back with this buzz about things, whereas I've been looking at things and going, well, I've been talking about this for the last 2 years, you haven't implemented it. Whereas now I'm chucking 3 of them on and I'm going, right, go on in, you can go and do it now. But framework, being on the balcony, I love that phrase. That was one thing that resonated with me at the very beginning. I was too much on the dance floor. I read that from your book. Spending time away, actually working on the business. Yeah, there's my 4 points, apart from just repeating what you 3 have just said.
Chris, can I put you on the spot? Because I know...
We put you on the spot, you only asked me to go on this earlier.
I know one of the things that you and I have talked about is about how do you build the momentum, the cadence and the rhythm, the confidence and the focus in the team to go, how do we become a £1 million plus business? And how do we get our run rates where we need to be and be in £1 million business? So, yeah, this stuff's great, but also I do want to demonstrate that this is about hardwired results as well. And if you're happy to, will you just share? Because when you hit a threshold and when you break through certain barriers, it absolutely, when it builds confidence, and when people aspire and get to a certain level, once they've done it, they know they have the capability to do it. So are you happy to share kind of where you got to in September? Because September was quite a breakthrough month for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I think, as I said, just going a little bit before that, obviously we've been working a lot on the foundations of the team, haven't we? But we got to a point and we touched base in August and we were talking about where the business was going to go. And the key thing that we took from that meeting was obviously a £1 million business. And it was again when you talk about mindset, one of the key things that I came in following that meeting was going through with the team about talking about having a £1 million business. Now, this sort of year has been up and down and there's a lot of noise about what the market's doing, but it's sort of got the team, I would certainly say, really, really focused. And yeah, August, we had a really good month. We hit target, which was great. But the momentum from the beginning of September, following that conversation, it was all talks about having £100,000 month. And we did 103 in September. So that's in short and where we are. But the great thing for me, what I've found now is it's not me talking it, it's the team talking it. Whereas before it was all me. Now it's a case of, right, the team now are like, right, how do we get there? So this is at the forefront of everyone's mind rather than just mine.
And I know, and Chris, congratulations, because, you know, doing a 103 grand month is phenomenal. And yes, the challenge now is how do you consistently replicate that month after month? But there is something really powerful in the moment that you break that threshold, the moment you remove that limiting belief, the moment you've got the whole team and you've achieved a goal like that, then they know they have the capability to get there. And then it's about, you know, bottling that and going, right, how do we manage to get to 100 grand month? What is it that we did? And it's not just about what you did in that month. It's what you did 6 months ago. It's what you did 3 months ago. It's the momentum that you built. And I think sometimes in life, what we don't do enough is when we do have a great month like that, we don't spend enough time sitting down, bottling it, understanding what the success formula was to go, right, now what we need to do is replicate those 7 things that have really worked. And, you know, that's the challenge that you and I have talked about next. But, you know, it's phenomenal. You know, what you say will be the way. And one of the great exercises that we do on Bootcamp is about how you really remove limiting beliefs, how we ignite that desire and that motivation around aspirational goals, how we become more inquisitive, how we become more curious, how we really become purposeful, and about where we choose to set our bar. And there is so much potential lying inside each and every one of us. And Chris, you are a walking example of that with the team now. It's about you giving the team confidence that they believe they can get to 103 grand. Because now they've done it, do you know what? That's where the bar's set in the aspiration.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Brilliant.
I think as well, what I wanted to quickly do is, because I'm conscious of everyone's time, but I've kind of written down 7 really important things that we will be covering on Bootcamp, which are going to move the needle quickly and drastically. There's lots we cover, 2 days, and they're long days, right? I think we start a bit late on day 1, but we finish later. And day 2, we start really early and still finish pretty late. But for me, the kind of 7 walk away, implementable within the first 3 months kind of strategies that are going to really change your business from the minute you leave. One is the implementing the onward negotiation and search and secure service. That is just incredible for an additional totally profit revenue stream. The other one is method of sale. I'm really getting frustrated with agents that haven't got the tools to solve their clients' problems. So a big thing for me there is helping you set up, you know, everyone's referring these auction companies, but you shouldn't be referring them. You should keep them in-house and handle them yourself. So that for me is having the right solution for every problem, every client problem that you may face. Big one, which is very important, we always cover because this thing changes a lot of the time year on year, is your clarity on your mission, your purpose, your culture deck, which is huge. But also what you were talking about there, Chris, that was switching from a manager to a leader, and leadership is very different to management. And I've had to learn that quickly because of how we've got both an employed model and a self-employed model within the same brand. So that's very interesting. Increasing fees by 50% plus and your conversion by 20% plus at the same time. So not increasing your fees and lowering conversion. That's really a big passionate thing for me, because half the problem with the industry at the minute and agents that are struggling is because they're feeling battered and beaten because they're not able to get the right fees. The measures that matter dashboard, as we refer to them as the MTMs, Michael alluded to them. You get your dashboard, which is really important. Massive one there that I think every agent should know but don't, is your average increase from initial offer to sale agreed. That will be probably, if you're any good, 3% plus on average, and your fee's only going to be 1% more than probably your competitors. That's a no-brainer kind of thing from my perspective. Systemizing your direct mail. The direct mail, whether you're a startup business or been going 25 years, you must have a very good direct mail campaign. I truly believe that. Forget wasting money on Facebook and Google ads until your direct approach, your direct mail. I was looking today, as I said earlier, that's our 6th of 21 highest client source generator. We've got 21 sources of client acquisition. Direct mail's the 6th one. In the last 4 months, it's played a part in signing £223,000 worth of signed clients in 4 months. So we've really got that cranked, and we're just cranking the handle more now. And then something that I'm super passionate about, as Michael will tell you, is the automation of the collection of your net promoter score at every stage of the buyer and seller journey. Until you know that, I believe, you don't know what you need to correct in your business. You might think you do, but you genuinely don't. So those are quick 7 things from an estate agency perspective that I'm passionate about everyone walking away from having those 7 things nailed. And if that means I've got to sit in the bar with them until midnight on day 1, then that's what's going to happen. And we like 7. And so I think you had 7 business challenges, Royston, right? That you're seeing across the board that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, no, I've just, funnily enough, I'm just creating a new blueprint white paper report at the moment, because these 7 things that I'll share at Bootcamp that are fatal mistakes that you must avoid in growing and scaling your business. And this is not just about estate agency. This is right across the board. And I'm really frustrated when clients come to me and they go, Royston, I know you told me and warned me about this, but I've fallen down the pothole. Or you said about this, and I know you mentioned it, you kept reinforcing it, but this has happened. So these 7 fatal mistakes, we're going to cover those on day 1. And I guarantee one thing, I know I said by lunchtime, if you don't think you've got value, come back to me. By morning coffee break on day 1, when we've gone through these 7 fatal mistakes to avoid in growing and scaling your business, if by the end of that you don't think you've got value for the whole bootcamp, come and tell me, because I know it will positively blow your mind, and it will give you 7 absolute actions that you can take away, audit your business against, and make sure that you are making sure that you don't fall into these traps. You've mentioned a couple of other things that I think are really important as well, Perry. The way that we structure Bootcamp is in 3 parallel pathways. So we talk about, in really growing and scaling your business, you've got to be great in the lead self bucket. And lead self for me is that businesses don't grow on their own, leaders grow businesses. And this might be a difficult point that I'm going to make now. You might well be the very blocker that is holding your business back from realizing its potential. And businesses don't grow on their own, leaders grow businesses. And if your growth as a leader is not ahead of the growth of the business, then you will be the blocker that's holding it back from realizing its full potential. So what's really important is about how we enable and arm you with the mindset, the skills to be a really purposeful leader in how you lead the business, in how you lead your teams, in how you set the business up for success. And, you know, Perry hit the nail on the head that I see Perry now and I look at a leader. When I first met him, he was on the cusp. He wasn't even being a manager. Whereas now he's a real credible leader of a business that is set up for success, where the business is turnkey and the business happens without Perry having to be in it. And the role of the leader is to make themselves redundant. And if you're going on a holiday and the whole business falls over when you're away, then there's something wrong in your leadership style. So that lead the self bucket on the premise that businesses don't grow on their own, leaders grow businesses is really important part of bootcamp. Then in the middle lane, it's about I lead the business. What are the growth hacks, the battle-proven strategies that you're going to be able to take away, personalize, apply to your business that will allow you to build 10x return, that will allow you to build £1 million plus business and, you know, really catapult your business forward and realize the personal benefits that you want to get from it. And then the other bucket is lead others. And success will only happen through people. Estate agency is a people business. You can get the automation right, but it's how do you get your people focused on the bits that they can only do and automate the hell out of everything else. And how you set people up for success, how you recruit the right people, how you inspire and motivate your teams, how you performance lead them, how you get the high performance weeks right, how you have the quality performance conversations based on inspirational and developmental feedback. They are all the things that we'll be covering on Bootcamp. So we will absolutely address those three parallel pathways of I lead self, I lead business, I lead others in terms of how we design and shape the 2 days. It is a really transformational learning experience.
Just to finish on that, and while I'm waffling, if you've got any questions, we wanted to keep this fairly punchy, so drop your questions in the comments, and we'll address them. But something on that automation and tech and stuff, where, you know, I was trained by the most amazing old school crook of an estate agent ever when I was 15, going into 16. So I learned the good ways, and then I got tech, and obviously I'm 37 now, so I was just in that rise of tech and Rightmove and that kind of stuff. But I shared something that one of the most important things, and take this away to implement into your business, one of the most important things that I ever done with Power Bespoke was automate the post-advice meeting client experience follow-up. And I was looking at it yesterday, and this is crazy, right? So before I could automate it, I had a second mobile phone, and I would pose as Kerry. So everyone thought that someone worked for me called Kerry, because they'll call the office to speak to Kerry, but there was no person called Kerry. There was only Perry. So it was just me. And I would say, oh, she's at the office at me. Can I help? So I would manually send a message to everyone that I appraise the day, 48 hours after, to say, hey, it's only Kerry at Power Bespoke. Just thought I'll send you across our post-advice meeting client experience survey. Can you click it and answer the questions? It was manual. It's now automated through tech, but I was looking at it yesterday, and across, I think, 400 advice meetings across the board, 82.4% of people can't think of a reason why they wouldn't instruct us or instruct the agent that they met. Now, for me, so the question is there any reason why you wouldn't instruct Steph, Simon, Emma, whatever? And almost 83% say no. What's crazy on that is that most would say, are you going to instruct Power Bespoke? And they would say yes or no. But we don't win them all, obviously, because some of the people don't come to market. So that's the important thing to remember. But automating stuff like that, I get the report. Our client experience manager gets the report every day that it's filled in. And when they say, yeah, your fees were too high, someone else from the business calls the person to try and overcome that objection. So anyway, automation and how it goes from manual, and I put a post in the Power Agent Facebook group. If you're not in that, put a comment and I'll send you an invite, breaking down exactly why that's so important. And I left the post to say, even if you can't automate it right now, a lot of people say, oh, I can't do that because my software don't automate it like that. And I was like, and my reply to that is, you're being lazy. You must have an administrator somewhere that can just send it out by text message 2 days after the advice meeting. Because I used to do that when I very started. So it's little stuff like that I will really, measures that matter. That for me is a measure that matters. So we'll get those all nailed on Bootcamp.
Perry, have we got any? Does anybody want to ask us any questions while they've got us here? Because we're talking a lot here. Does anybody want to throw any questions at us? Or if you don't want to ask them on this session, I know there's still quite a lot of people on. If there's anything post this session that you think of that you want to ask either Perry or I, just message us, DM us directly. Happy to have a conversation with you offline if you want to have a conversation about whether Bootcamp's right for you, whether it's right for your business. Hopefully this has given you a good feel for it. Chris, Michael, is there anything else while questions might come through? Is there anything else you would add based on what we've talked about? Any final comments you want to throw out there? Michael?
I think I would say the real value is to have as many of your team members with you as you can, because I personally find it difficult to take in so much information from the guys and these sessions, then you go back into your team and then trying to relay it in a way that they listen to you. So if you are thinking of coming, if you have the opportunity to bring your right-hand person or head of sales, for example, or anybody that's important in your business, I think that's a real help, because it means it's not a one-pronged attack whenever you go back to the office. That would be my best bit of advice as far as. And the other thing is, don't hesitate to do this, guys. It's life-changing.
And Michael, thank you. On that note, if you go and sign up on the website, it will say that you book 2 places and you get another place for half price. Perry and I were talking at the start, and because you're on here today, if you book 2 places, you'll get a third place for free. So it's not half price, you'll get a third place for free. And I echo what Michael says, because on all our accelerator programs, and as I say, I'm running a 10-week accelerator program at the moment, and literally 15 businesses. Every business has got a minimum of 2 people. Some have got 3. One business has got 4 people on it. The more people you bring, the more people who you can indoctrinate into the language and share the experience with you, the easier it is to then go back and implement in your business. Chris made a really great point earlier about it's a lonely place running the business. So the more people you can get on the same page, and that is definitely a way of doing it. So, both Michael and Chris's point is absolutely spot on. So if you go and sign up, there is book 2 places, get 1 for free.
We've also got 5 of our agents coming, which I think is really important, because a lot of people are bringing their teams. I think it's very important for people to pull Steph or Georgie or Emma or Simon to one side to be like, but in reality, though, what's that like in the living room? Because it's all right, me talking about it and who founded Power Bespoke, but obviously to get the team, some are employed, some are self-employed as well. That's important. So if you've got an employed model, it's important you still come, more so. If you've got a self-employed model, equally, just as important you come. But having those, what I find is, I know, Chris, your team kind of latched on to Georgie and Steph a bit, which is great. And they're there to help your team as much as they can, ultimately. Like, my team is our resource.
And Perry, I want to put you on the spot with this, because you've got Steph, who's employed, and we've got Georgie in Power Bespoke, who's self-employed. Just what will they hit this year in terms of their targets? Because they're not just average estate agents. These are what I would call the creme de la creme, probably the top 1% of the estate agency market. So what will they deliver this year? What's Steph going to do, who's employed?
So Steph will do 245 at a push. Georgie, Steph's amazing, but she's been doing it a long time, and she knows she's amazing. Georgie is my prodigy. She's been an estate agent for 3 years, and she'll do this year without fail 230 grand, which
unbelievable.
Hadn't been into a living room 3 years ago. And I know that because she was an ops manager pre-COVID in the office. She come back. She was the only one I didn't furlough because I really needed her. And then she bumped her head after COVID, said, I want to be an agent. And I was like, let's do it. And she, at the minute, she's tracking literally, I think, about 1,200 quid behind Steph on banked year to date. But Steph's carrying a higher pipeline. So, but they are both incredible people.
But Perry, it's really interesting what you've done there, because Steph, it was a really experienced, seasoned estate agent that you just plugged into the Power Bespoke model. She loved the freedom, she loved the culture, and she's just kicked on to the next level.
She was at that run rate after 9-12 months, whereas Georgie, it took her 3 years to get there. But my God, she's there, and she sold your friend's properties. She sold your property, right? She sold your friend's properties because you referred her, recommended her. She's an absolute superstar.
Well, you gave me really shit advice, because you told me to go with a local agent in Leamington Spa, which were absolutely rubbish. And I came back to you after 6 weeks and said, can you get somebody to sell it? You gave me Georgie, and she was amazing. Literally got the whole thing done, sold, bang.
But that's because we like second-hand business, because now you appreciate what you got.
That was at the last boot camp, that was.
Yeah, it was the last boot camp.
Sold it.
But Perry also, but you've just, I know we're going backwards here, but that switcher strategy is really important, which is the one I absolutely love in terms of that we nail on Bootcamp about how to really focus on secondhand stock, and you get a higher price on the secondhand stock. So let's not go into it now, but that is one thing we absolutely have got a slam dunk nail on Bootcamp. So
awesome. Well, no public questions, so that's helpful. As in, like, hopefully we've covered everything. If you want to know any more, reach out to me and Royston. Michael, Chris, you two are legends. Can't wait to hang out with you for a couple of days in 40 days from now. My God. And yeah, that's a wrap, I think. Thank you all for.
Have you put the link below, Perry, for Bootcamp for the sign up?
I haven't, but I'm going to email everyone straight after this with it.
Brilliant. And as I say, today, it's not 2 places get one for half price. It's 2 places and get one for free. So, in essence, what that means is you get 3 people at Bootcamp for $1,000 a head, which actually in today's market is unbelievable. And if you don't get a 10x return on that, then come and see me and I'll give you your money back. Can't say fairer than that. There you go. You just put the link in there.
It's in the chat, but I'll send it to everyone after who've been on live. And a lot of people wanted to watch a recording back. So blah, blah, blah. Looking forward to seeing everyone. Let's get back to it and we'll see you all soon.
Chris, Michael, thanks so much. You are, as Perry said, you're legends. Thanks for making the time.
Pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. And hopefully we will see you at Bootcamp.
See you all soon. Cheers, guys.
See you. Bye. Bye.